Lewis Carroll, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Chapter 6. Pig and Pepper. For 1 or 2 minutes she stood and looked at the house, and she wondered what to do next. Suddenly, a servant in uniform ran out of the wood. She thought he was a servant because he wore a uniform. If she only looked at his face, she would have said he was a fish. He knocked loudly on the door with his hand. Another servant in uniform opened the door. He had a round face and big eyes like a frog. Alice saw that both servants had white powdered hair that curled all over their heads. She felt very curious and wanted to know what was happening, so she moved a little out of the wood to listen. The fish footman took out a very big letter from under his arm. It was almost as big as he was. He gave it to the other servant and said in a serious voice, "For the Duchess, an invitation from the Queen to play croquet." The frog footman repeated in the same serious voice, but he changed the order of the words a little. "From the Queen, an invitation for the Duchess to play croquet." Then they both bowed low, and their curled hair got mixed together. Alice laughed so much at this that she had to run back into the wood because she was afraid they would hear her. When she looked out again, the fish footman was gone. The other one was sitting on the ground near the door and looking stupidly up at the sky. Alice walked slowly and shyly to the door and knocked. "There is no use in knocking," said the footman, "and that is for 2 reasons. First, I am on the same side of the door as you. Second, they are making so much noise inside that no one can hear you." And there really was a very strange noise inside. There was constant crying and sneezing, and from time to time there was a loud crash, as if a plate or a kettle was breaking into pieces. "Please then," said Alice, "how can I get in?" "There might be some sense in your knocking," the footman continued, but he did not listen to her. "If the door was between us, for example, if you were inside, you could knock, and I could let you out, you know." He looked up at the sky all the time while he was speaking, and Alice thought this was very rude. "But maybe he cannot help it," she said to herself. "His eyes are almost at the top of his head. But he should still answer questions. How can I get in?" she repeated aloud. "I will sit here," the footman said, "until tomorrow." At that moment, the door of the house opened, and a large plate flew out, straight at the footman's head. It just touched his nose, and then broke into pieces against a tree behind him. "Or maybe the next day," the footman continued in the same voice, just as if nothing had happened. "How can I get in?" asked Alice again, more loudly. "Do you need to get in at all?" said the footman. "That is the first question, you know." It was true, of course, but Alice did not like to hear it. "It is really terrible," she said quietly to herself. "The way all the creatures argue. It is enough to make someone crazy." The footman seemed to think this was a good moment to repeat what he had said, but a little differently. "I will sit here," he said, "on and off, for many days." "But what am I to do?" said Alice. "Do anything you like," said the footman, and he began to whistle. "Oh, there is no use talking to him," said Alice in a desperate voice. "He is completely stupid." And she opened the door and went in. The door led straight into a large kitchen. The kitchen was full of smoke everywhere. The Duchess was sitting in the middle on a 3-legged stool and holding a baby. The cook was bending over the fire and stirring a large pot that seemed to be full of soup. "There is certainly too much pepper in that soup," Alice said to herself while she was sneezing. There was really too much pepper in the air. Even the Duchess sneezed sometimes, and the baby was sneezing and crying again and again without stopping. The only ones in the kitchen who did not sneeze were the cook and a large cat that was sitting near the fire and smiling widely. "Please, can you tell me," said Alice a little shyly, because she was not sure if it was polite to speak first, Why your cat smiles like that?" "It is a Cheshire cat," said the Duchess, "and that is why. Pig." She said the last words so suddenly and loudly that Alice jumped. But a moment later, she saw that the word was for the baby, not for her, so she felt braver and continued. "I did not know that Cheshire cats always smiled. In fact, I did not know that cats could smile." "They all can," said the Duchess, "and most of them do." "I do not know any that do," Alice said very politely, and she felt quite happy to be in a conversation. "You do not know much," said the Duchess, "and that is true." Alice did not like the way she said this, and she thought it would be better to change the topic. While she was trying to think of something, the cook took the pot of soup off the fire and immediately began to throw everything she could reach at the Duchess and the baby. First she threw the fire tools, then she threw many pots, plates, and dishes. The Duchess did not care, even when things hit her, and the baby was already crying so much that it was impossible to know if it was hurt or not. "Oh, please be careful," cried Alice, jumping up and down in great fear. "Oh, there goes his dear nose," she said, as a very large pot flew close to it and almost took it away. "If everyone looked after their own business," the Duchess said in a rough voice, "the world would move much faster than it does." "That would not be a good thing," said Alice, who was happy to show a little of her knowledge. "Just think how it would change day and night. You see, the Earth takes 24 hours to turn around its axis." "Talking about axes," said the Duchess, "cut off her head." Alice looked quickly at the cook to see if she would do it, but the cook was busy stirring the soup and did not seem to listen. So Alice continued, 24 hours, I think. Or is it 12? "Oh, do not bother me," said the Duchess. "I never liked numbers." And then she began to hold her child again and sing a kind of lullaby. At the end of every line she shook the baby strongly. "Speak roughly to your little boy, and hit him when he sneezes. He only does it to annoy, because he knows it bothers." Chorus. The cook and the baby joined in. Wow, wow, wow. While the Duchess sang the second verse, she kept throwing the baby up and down roughly. The poor little thing cried so much that Alice could hardly hear the words. "I speak strictly to my boy. I hit him when he sneezes, because he really enjoys the pepper when he wants." Chorus. Wow, wow, wow. "Here, you can hold it for a while if you like," the Duchess said to Alice, and she threw the baby at her. "I must go and get ready to play croquet with the Queen." And she quickly left the room. The cook threw a frying pan after her, but it just missed her. Alice caught the baby, but it was not easy. It was a strange little creature, and it moved its arms and legs in all directions. Like a starfish, Alice thought. The poor little thing was making loud noises like a machine when she caught it. It kept bending and straightening itself again, so for the first minute or two it was very hard for her to hold it. When she found the right way to hold it, which was to twist it into a kind of knot, and then hold tightly its right ear and left foot so it could not move too much, she carried it outside into the fresh air. "If I do not take this child with me," thought Alice, "they will surely kill it in a day or two. Would it not be wrong to leave it here?" She said the last words aloud, and the little creature made a low sound in reply. It had stopped sneezing now. "Do not make that sound," said Alice. "That is not a proper way to speak." The baby made the sound again, and Alice looked carefully at its face to see what was wrong. There was no doubt that it had a very turned-up nose, more like a pig's nose than a real one. Also, its eyes were becoming very small for a baby. Altogether, Alice did not like how it looked at all. "But maybe it is only crying," she thought, and she looked into its eyes again to see if there were any tears. No, there were no tears. "If you are going to turn into a pig, my dear," said Alice seriously, I will have nothing more to do with you. Be careful." The poor little thing made the sound again, or maybe it was crying. It was hard to say. And they went on quietly for a while. Alice was just starting to think, "Now what will I do with this creature when I take it home?" when it made the sound again, very loudly. She looked down at its face with some fear. This time there was no mistake. It was really a pig, and she felt it would be very silly to carry it any further. So she put the little creature down, and she felt quite happy to see it walk away quietly into the wood. "If it had grown up," she said to herself, "it would have been a very ugly child. But it makes quite a nice pig, I think." Then she began to think about other children she knew who might also be good pigs. She was just saying to herself, "If only one knew the right way to change them," when she was a little surprised to see the Cheshire Cat sitting on a branch of a tree a few meters away. The cat only smiled when it saw Alice. It looked friendly, she thought. Still, it had very long claws and many teeth, so she felt she should be careful and polite. "Cheshire Puss," she began a little nervously, because she did not know if it would like the name. But it only smiled a little more. "Good, it likes it so far," thought Alice, and she continued. "Can you please tell me which way I should go from here?" "That depends a lot on where you want to go," said the cat. "I do not really care where," said Alice. "Then it does not matter which way you go," said the cat. "As long as I get somewhere," Alice added to explain. "Oh, you will certainly do that," said the cat, "if you walk long enough." Alice thought this was true, so she asked another question. "What kind of people live here?" "In that direction," the cat said, waving its right paw, "there is a hatter, and in that direction, waving the other paw, there is a March hare. You can visit either one. They are both mad." "But I do not want to go to mad people," said Alice. "Oh, you cannot avoid that," said the cat. "We are all mad here. I am mad. You are mad." "How do you know that I am mad?" said Alice. "You must be," said the cat, "or you would not have come here." Alice did not think this was a good reason, but she continued, "And how do you know that you are mad?" "First," said the cat, "a dog is not mad. Do you agree?" "I think so," said Alice. "Well," the cat continued, "a dog growls when it is angry, and moves its tail when it is happy. But I growl when I am happy, and move my tail when I am angry. So I am mad." "I call it purring, not growling," said Alice. "Call it what you like," said the cat. "Are you playing croquet with the Queen today?" "I would like to very much," said Alice, "but I have not been invited yet." "You will see me there," said the cat, and it disappeared. Alice was not very surprised at this, because she was getting used to strange things. While she was looking at the place where it had been, it suddenly appeared again. "By the way, what happened to the baby?" said the cat. "I almost forgot to ask." "It turned into a pig," Alice said calmly, as if this was normal. "I thought so," said the cat, and it disappeared again. Alice waited for a while, half expecting to see it again, but it did not appear. After a minute or two, she walked on in the direction where the March hare was said to live. "I have seen hatters before," she said to herself. "The March hare will be much more interesting. And maybe, because it is May, it will not be completely mad. At least, not as mad as it was in March." As she said this, she looked up, and there was the cat again, sitting on a branch of a tree. "Did you say pig or fig?" said the cat. "I said pig," answered Alice. "And I wish you would not keep appearing and disappearing so suddenly. You make me feel quite dizzy." "All right," said the cat. This time it disappeared very slowly. First the end of its tail vanished, and last the smile disappeared, which stayed for some time after the rest of the body had gone. "Well, I have often seen a cat without a smile," thought Alice. "But a smile without a cat? It is the strangest thing I have ever seen in my life." She had not gone much farther when she saw the house of the March Hare. She thought it must be the right house because the chimneys were shaped like ears and the roof was made of fur. It was such a big house that she did not want to go closer before she ate a little more of the piece of mushroom from her left hand and grew to about 2 feet tall. Even then she walked towards it a little nervously and said to herself, "What if it is completely mad after all? I almost wish I had gone to see the Hatter instead."